What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have watch this UK laser destroy drones immediately. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support the channel further, hit the join button, become a member, get your exclusive benefits. Let's get to it.
Happy Black Friday, everybody. The UK just released footage of its Dragonfire laser vaporizing high-speed drones at 400 miles per hour. That is faster than most Russian aircraft move on purpose. And this is the first time any European nation has shown a fully operational high-power laser actually killing real targets. If you thought my last video on Dragonfire in 2024 was wild, buckle up, because this story just leveled up. Hey friends, Wes O'Donnell here, military veteran, law grad, and I love talking about lasers. Pew, pew. A few months back, I broke down Dragonfire, the UK's sci-fi looking laser system that they were testing in Ukraine. At the time, Dragonfire was mostly trial shots, controlled tests, and a promise to maybe deploy in the late 2020s. Well, London just hit the turbo button. Yes, we're talking about the UK again. The British MOD has confirmed that Dragonfire is not only shooting down drones at attack speed, but the system is being fast-tracked onto Royal Navy destroyers years ahead of schedule. When was the last time any Defense Department moved ahead of schedule? The first ship,
especially years ahead of schedule, like that's crazy. That means in testing, this laser was doing its job to perfection. To be years ahead of schedule. Hold up, UK, because I know so many different countries are working on lasers right now for drones. Probably got to find out the best cost-effective way to take drones out. But for the UK to have this laser years ahead of schedule is crazy.
Will get its lasers in 2027, and they already paid out a £316 million contract to MBDA UK to make it happen. This is what a rollout looks like. So let's go through what the UK just demonstrated, why it matters for NATO, and how it compares to Ukraine's Trizub laser, and how this ties into Ukraine's battlefield innovations that I've been covering for 3 years. The announcement could not have come at a more symbolic time. In the same week Dragonfire footage went public, London publicly accused a Russian spy ship, the Yantar, of using lasers to blind Royal Air Force pilots during surveillance flights. Russia is using lasers to interfere with aircraft. The UK is using lasers to delete aircraft. That contrast tells you everything about where NATO wants to be.
I don't know if y'all heard it right. Russia is using lasers to interfere with aircraft. The UK is using lasers to delete aircraft. Now that's power. That one can interfere, one can completely delete.
And this matters because the last few years have shown a pattern. The threat to ships is no longer just cruise missiles or anti-ship weapons, it's drones. Cheap, plentiful, fast drones. In the Red Sea, the Royal Navy and the US Navy spent millions of dollars firing missiles to shoot down Iranian targets that cost a few $1,000 and were basically flying Mario Karts. That is not sustainable. Every navy in the world realized that if drones continue evolving, your billion-dollar warship can get attrited by something smaller than your ship's lifeboat. Into the Dragonfire, my liege. The UK MOD released high-resolution video of Dragonfire tracking and vaporizing drones traveling at more than 400 miles per hour. That is not a toy. That is not a slow quadcopter. That is a full-speed target drone that simulates the kind of kamikaze UAVs Russia loves to mass produce. Here's what the test demonstrated.
More than 400 miles per hour is crazy. Look at that. The laser did that? Oh my days.
First, above the horizon tracking. This is a big one. It means Dragonfire is not just a panic button you press when a drone is already in your face. The system can reach out, find, and lock onto fast movers while they're still a decent distance from the ship. Above the horizon tracking tells us the fire control, the optics, and the stabilization are good enough to follow a small, fast target against a cluttered background like sea clouds or atmospheric haze. In practical terms, that buys the ship time. Time to pick targets, time to prioritize threats, time to engage multiple drones in sequence instead of waiting until everything is inside knife fight range. Second, sub 10-second kills. Lasers need dwell time on target. You have to hold the beam in one place long enough to dump enough energy into the airframe to melt something important. The new Dragonfire footage shows kills happening in a matter of seconds, not half a minute. That tells you two things. The beam is being held steady despite ship motion, wind, and turbulence, and power level is high enough that once the laser bites, the structure fails quickly. On a kamikaze drone or fast UAV, a few seconds can be the difference between a clean intercept and a very awkward insurance claim. Third, accuracy. The MOD...
I would think you would want to get that to about like 3 seconds. I mean, of course you'd want to get it instantly if you could, but you get the once it's locked on, stay 3 seconds, you take out a drone. I feel like that's dangerous. 30 seconds is ridiculously too long because if a swarm of drones comes at you, it's going to be tough. But under 10 seconds is really, really freaking good. I feel like you get it to 3, and now you're cooking. Now you don't even want to send drones that way. You don't even want to send drones that way because you know what the end result's going to be.
He says Dragonfire can hit a 1-pound coin at 1 kilometer. That is not a party trick. That is the entire point of a high-energy laser. A drone might be bigger than a coin, but you are not trying to warm up the whole fuselage. You're just trying to cook something critical. Flight control surfaces, sensor balls, warhead sections, fuel tanks. A laser that can reliably hold on a coin-sized target at that distance can pick where it wants to hurt the drone. You can blind its optics, you can shred a wing root or punch through a control surface, or let aerodynamics and Sir Isaac Newton do the rest. Fourth, cost per shot, about 10 pounds, roughly $13. That is the price of a mediocre airport sandwich to delete a drone.
Is it 13 or 10 pounds per shot? That's it. That's all we're talking. What? Yeah, they about to drone warfare, as quick as it came and popular as it got, is about to be absolutely erased by these laser systems, bro. That is insanely cost effective.
Comparison, the U.S. Navy's SM-2 missile runs about $2 million per round. Even a short-range Sea Sparrow is in the hundreds of thousands. Those are fantastic weapons against cruise missiles and high-end threats, but it is economic death to spend that kind of money on every quadcopter and lawnmower with explosives your opponent can churn out. $13 versus hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
that is the fight NATO wants to win because budgets lose wars long before soldiers do. Fifth, no ammo constraints. A laser fires as long as the ship generates power. There are no magazines to reload, no pallets of interceptors to crane aboard and port. No, we are down to our last 3 missiles. Hope this works. The limiting factor becomes cooling and power management, not how many metal tubes you bought last fiscal year.
I was going to ask, is there no cooling factor? Like, it just can go nonstop? But I assume they'll figure that cooling factor out to where it can. But that's, yeah, limitless ammo.
That changes commander behavior. You can afford to engage earlier. You take more shots to thin out a swarm instead of gambling on a single perfect missile salvo. In a world where drones are cheap and endless, having a weapon that does not care about ammo count is a very big deal. Missile-rich nations can be attrited. Power-rich nations cannot. If you think about it, lasers are the natural evolution of the drone-saturated battlefields of 2025. There really is no other way to counter massed swarms of drones than lasers, or maybe microwave energy weapons. The UK is not messing around. They are fitting Dragonfire onto Type 45 destroyers. These ships already carry some of the best air defenses in NATO, including the Aster missile family. Dragonfire will sit underneath that like a cost-effective, infinitely reliable first line of defense. The first destroyer gets its laser in 2027. That is 5 years faster than originally planned. The MOD wants a layered defense that looks like this: Dragonfire for drones and small, high-speed threats, missiles for cruise missiles, and heavy UAVs, and then long-range interceptors for the big boys. This is about tempo. You cannot shoot $20 million worth of missiles every week at drones Russia builds in a garage. Dragonfire changes the math. If you watched my first Dragonfire video, you know I compared it to the Ukrainian Trizub battlefield laser. Trizub is the scrappy, built-under-shelling cousin that Ukraine threw into combat with the philosophy of test it on the Russians. Dragonfire is the PhD version with multiple lasers being combined into a single coherent shot. Trizub is
I think you just see so many countries watching that war between the Ukraine and Russia, and you see so many countries, militaries evolving because of the information they're receiving, the information that they're getting by watching what's happening. When you see Ukraine come up with this laser, these countries are, how can we improve that? You know, when you see these drones come out, are drones the new way of the future? Well, how do we defeat drones in a cost-effective manner? You see how much damage that they're doing for a very cheap price, and it's not cost-effective to use missiles to take them out. So as you see wars happening, you see countries and militaries learning and evolving. That's kind of crazy.
operational right now. Dragonfire is the long-term investment. And here's what's changed since that video in 2024. Back then, Dragonfire's power output was around 50 kilowatts. Now that's good enough for small UAVs, but not enough to burn through hardened targets. With the new tests, the UK is clearly pushing higher because a 400 mile per hour target is no joke. The optics have been stabilized, atmospheric distortion corrections upgraded, and beam combining algorithms refined. In short, Dragonfire is graduating from a lab project to combat system. As I mentioned, the UK's announcement arrived right after Russia tried to use lasers to interfere with RAF pilots. Not destroy, just annoy. That difference in capability is enormous. NATO just got the first operational high-power shipborne laser in Europe. Germany is developing its own, but the UK beat everyone to the finish line. Dragonfire is going to matter for the Black Sea and beyond. Imagine a Royal Navy destroyer entering a threatened zone in the Red Sea or the Mediterranean. Instead of spending $1 million per shot on drones, it spends $13. Multiply that across a deployment and suddenly NATO has cost dominance again. Russia's reliance on drone swarms becomes much less effective. A laser does not need to reload. A ship does. The limiting factor becomes power generation, not stockpiled interceptors. The technological leap signals to Russia that NATO navies will not be attrited by budget pressure. Lasers erase the economics that cheap drones rely on. This is the real shift. Lasers will not replace missiles. They complement them. Missiles still hit long-range, hardened targets. Lasers handle the spam. They handle the swarms. They can keep your missile magazines full for the threats that matter. Think of it this way. Missiles stop wars, lasers stop the nonsense. And NATO needs both. The UK
Missiles stop wars, lasers stop the nonsense. I like that.
This Dragonfire program has moved from concept to contract, from trials to kills, from sometime next decade to fleet ready in 2027. This is early, historic, disruptive, and it puts the Royal Navy at the forefront of directed energy warfare in the alliance. Ukraine's Trizub laser shows what innovation looks like in wartime. Britain's Dragonfire shows what innovation looks like when a major defense industrial base puts its foot down and accelerates. Together, they point toward a battlefield where the cheapest weapon does not win by numbers, but loses by physics. This is the future, and the future just burned a hole through a 400 mile per hour drone. So yes, this is the biggest Dragonfire update since the program was announced. The UK has fired the first real shots of the directed energy era, and NATO is watching closely. That's it for today, my friends. Subscribing really is the best free way to support these videos. For longer deep dives, I do write a lot on Substack, so if you want more global security analysis, you can scan this code or just go to wesodonnell.com. I've pointed my website directly to my newsletter. But honestly, I enjoy making videos more than I enjoy writing, so subscribing here on YouTube is your best bet. Oh, and as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.
That was a great video just to kind of talk about what that laser is capable of doing and the capabilities of that laser. It's absolutely freaking insane. Like my days. That Dragonfire is literally Dragonfire, bro. Um, it's amazing. And you just don't want to see no drones UK way. Let's just say that you don't want to see no drones over there. They done already figured it out, it looks like. That's all we have. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe, get a bit of thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.